If our leaders in Parliament House at Capitol Hill can blatantly lie, then why should we complain about our kids lying to us? My good mate Melinda Tankard-Reist, who runs Collective Shout, she says the standard we walk past is the standard that we're prepared to live by. Think about that for a moment. Next time you're in a garage and they've got inappropriate magazines on the shelf and you walk past that, that's the standard you're prepared to accept. That's the standard I'm prepared to accept. Let's go with Australian passports. The Australian federal government now has passed that you can select on your passport that you're male, female or X. Because we don't want those who are gender confused to be excluded. I don't know about you, but when I stand in the mirror and look in the mirror, I know I'm a bloke. I've got the appendages to say I'm a bloke. This rubbish started in America so that a transgender person doesn't even have to have surgery now to change their gender on their passport. You can actually determine whether you want to be male or female. That's up to you. It's not up to anatomy. It's now up to you. Let me go one a bit further. Over 20,000 kids from prep and preschool in the UK have been disciplined for sexual harassment. They called one kid Gaylord and they were disappointed. Look at this next slide. Called a kid broccoli head, and that was sexual harassment. Or they say to the teacher, this work is gay. That's sexual harassment. We're talking prep kids who wouldn't even know what the meaning of the word is. We're gone nuts. You know, you're not allowed to speak against homosexuals because they'll be offended, but it doesn't matter if I'm offended. Isn't that a double standard? I've got this phrase that I use when I meet gay activists now. I say to them, oh, you're heterophobic, are you? I get in before they call me homophobic. You know, don't I have a right to go, I think you're heterophobic and I'm offended by your choices? We've got this political correctness that's gone mad because good men have not stood up and said, enough's enough. Let me go to another one. You read this about this school in Sweden. This is a kindergarten. We're talking 4-year-olds. We're not allowed to address the girls as good morning boys and girls because they may not align with being a boy or a girl. And the extent of this is that in some American states now, you cannot discriminate with toilet use. Children are allowed to go with whatever toilets they best identify with. I wonder how that goes in high school. Adolescent boys identifying with the female change rooms, eh? And I was talking on this last week and someone said to me there's a move from the federal government in its curriculum policy on early childhood that we should not address children in kindergartens as boys and girls. We should use gender-neutral terms. How the hell are the next generation of boys going to grow up to become good men if they don't even start out being understanding that they're blokes? They can be gender X. Do you see the ramifications for this? They actually have gender-neutral toys in that Swedish school. Because you don't want to gender assign kids to any particular gender because you don't want to actually stereotype. It's coming here. It's coming to Australia. I want my girls to be girls. My daughters are gorgeous women. And I want our boys to be boys who grow into great men. I wanted to be clear about that.
allow civil unions between same-sex couples in Queensland will be introduced into Parliament this week. State political reporter Jessica Van Vonderen is there. Jess, how's this all come about?
David, the Deputy Premier Andrew Fraser revealed on Friday his plans to push for civil unions in Queensland. The Labor caucus met this afternoon, as it does each Monday before a parliamentary sitting, and it agreed to allow Mr Fraser to introduce a private members' bill. Government MPs will be allowed a conscience vote, and already today several of Mr Fraser's colleagues have indicated their support.
People will want to look through the legislation because for many people this is a clear human rights issue, and equally for other people from a particular moral or ethical or religious faith perspective it is a very different proposition. So it's something that needs to go to people's conscience.
I think there'd be some controversial in the electorate, but my conscience tells me to support it, and that's what I'll be doing today.
There will be some people who will have some strong views on it, and everyone will be given a conscience vote, but I would expect overwhelming support for an idea that I believe is very important.
The opposition hasn't indicated.
Let me be really clear about this. First of all, if somebody wants to live a homosexual lifestyle, that's their choice. I do not have an issue with that one bit. That's not my issue. My issue is when they say a homosexual lifestyle is no different to any other lifestyle, I have an issue with that. And I speak about this openly but cautiously. If I was in Victoria, I would probably have vilification laws coming down on me right now. Here in Queensland, just last month, Dr. David Van Gen wrote an article about his opinion based on research that the best outcome for kids is a mum and dad in a traditional family, therefore homosexual relationships don't give the best outcome in kids. Somebody in Victoria took offence to that article and took him to the Human Rights Commission. He lost work time and money to defend himself, and then they withdrew it at the last minute. So now I'm not even allowed to have an opinion to go, if you want to live your lifestyle, that's fine, I just disagree with you. And be man enough and big enough to deal with somebody disagreeing with you. I don't want to take you out. So why do you want to take me out? That's called a lack of civility. So I don't want to stop anyone living life how they want to live it. But I refuse to say that these types of relationships are the same as every other type of relationship. And I'll show you why in a moment. But the first thing I want to take our Deputy Premier here in Queensland on, Andrew Fraser, is he says this is a clear human rights issue. According to Article 16 of the Convention on Human Rights by the United Nations, when it comes to marriage, this is what it actually says. When a man and a woman are of mature age to independently make a decision for marriage, they should be free to do that. It doesn't say a man and a man. And the last paragraph says, the family is a natural and fundamental group, unit of society, and is entitled protection by society and the state, and our very government is now not protecting the fundamental unit of family and marriage. In fact, I would dare say that the Queensland government is in breach of human rights on this very issue. But you know what? If you say this is a clear human rights issue, it's a nice, grandiose statement that nobody can argue with, can you? And I want to go, that's bullshit. Tell me how it's a human rights issue. No one's stopping you from having your lifestyle. You can live a gay lifestyle, but marriage is exclusive. When you choose to get married, you choose to stop having that sort of relationship with anyone else, don't you? And you can't be single and married at the same time because it's exclusive. But now we want to make it all-inclusive because some people don't like the exclusivity of marriage. I want to say, grow up. By nature, it's exclusive. There is a thing called just discrimination. Now, that's changing because of what I said earlier, but I'm discriminated that I can't go to a female toilet, and that's called just discrimination because it's for the benefit of another group. But we love these notions, discrimination, human rights, without ever challenging them. But let me tell you why I get right up my nose about this whole gay civil rights and marriage thing. Let's talk research. There are nations that have had civil unions and gay marriage for over a decade in those 10 nations around the world. I want you to notice this, that in most countries that have civil unions and civil marriage, the take-up rate, that means how many homosexuals, how many gays take up getting married. Look at the average percentage there. For gay marriage, 10.4% of homosexuals take it up. And in civil unions, 5.12% take it up. Now, if gay marriage and gay civil unions is such a big deal for the gay community, why isn't it that 90% of them are taking it up? Why isn't it? But you know what? They don't answer that question for me. I just go, statistically, if this is such a big deal in the countries where it's allowed, why do so few take it up? Yet, in the heterosexual community, the marriage rate is over 80% of the population. Why this difference? See, I don't have to go, I disagree with you. I just ask the question, why is this so? Does it make sense? Let's talk about the length of relationships. I want you to notice the source. The Melbourne Periodic Gay Survey. This is from the gay community. And what you'll be surprised is that that's the length of relationships. So effectively 50% of committed gay men's relationship last less than 1 year, and 68% of committed gay men's relationship lasts less than 2 years. And in the Netherlands, where they've had gay marriage for 10 years, the average length of a committed homosexual gay man's relationship is 1.5 years. But it's no different to marriage. That's what we're being told. Someone over here, you said it, brother. Bullshit.